So, hey folks, how's it going? Jovan, Hutton, Pulitzer here. Let's do a COVID-19, the data and the facts update. This is probably one of the key things I've been trying to work on is to make sure all of you get as much data as you can to understand what's going on. So I'm going to show you and point you to some of the online tools that you might not know about where you can track what's going on with COVID-19 in your state. Now, many of you all know, have been joining me over time with this, and over the last few weeks, been working diligently as I'm part of the response chain, trying to figure out how do we respond to this on a home-by-home basis in the United States, both at the federal level and then state by state, working with the state. And so that is in the midst of testing and rollout now, where we're hopeful in very, very, very short order that if you desire to test at home, you'll be able to do it. But for those of you that have been following up with the updates, remember it takes a bit to do this, right? It takes a bit to do this at the state level, because that basically means, you have 50 bosses now, which is the governors of each state, and then you got to work with the state, and then after you work with the state, then you got to work with the counties. For some of you, if I put your comments up on screen and you don't see your face or name, I can't see it. I don't know what's going on with Facebook and stuff, but it appears with so many people on and so many people pinging in that it's tough for the various programs to work to pull up your stuff on screen. You can also watch me on, this is Periscope right here, so I can show my people on Periscope that have been following with the Periscope screen. You can actually join on Periscope as well if you're mobile, if you're not watching this on Facebook Live. Let's get to some of the really important things that you need to know as both a global and as an American citizen. I have been warning you now for over 2 weeks. Go back, watch them. I've told you that basically, pardon my French, but shit's about to hit the fan. And when you see some of the numbers, and I just take you back 1 day in time, 2 days in time, you'll understand from the United States standpoint, for us, now is the critical, getting scary as shit time that it will really sink home for you as to what's going on. Let me share with you some numbers that I'll basically share right up front, okay? Let me see, that's on a ticker. Let me shut this one off, okay? Ooh, that's on. Let me go back here. Let me share this one with you. Right now, as I was prepping for the show, this is key, because we're going to go back and look at these numbers that are running as the ticker at the bottom of my screen. As I was prepping for the show, not over an hour ago, 926,095 cases active around the world. There have been 193,000 recovered, note about 46,413 deaths, okay? So that's kind of where we are. In total cases, 926,095. 686,651 active cases, 193 of those officially considered recovered, 46,413 actual fatalities. I am now going to show you here what a difference mere minutes make. This is hard for me because this is not to scare anybody or anything. This is to educate you with information. That is how you understand how to deal with this. Information is what it means, the difference between your family being safe, you being safe. You have to understand, okay, that's why I'm giving you this. Hey, Bill, how's it going? I'm going to click over to one screen. This is one of the ones I'm going to show you. It's going to show in real time what's going on. And remember the numbers I just showed you. Let me share my screen here as the first screen we go to for the evening and take a look at this. This is a real-time epidemic count. We've grown another 10,000 cases for being identified with it. We've grown by another 1,000 plus or 1,000 deaths, basically, and we've grown by another 2,000 recoveries. This particular chart, which you can find, comes from the Centers of Disease Control. It's called the Wordometer, and it basically, if you look to the right part of the screen, this is the constant update at UTC time, Universal Time Code, that's coordinating. This is the triage. This is the triage that's going on around the globe, where you can look at each country, you can look at how it's spread. Pay attention to the map you just saw turn red, because I'm going to show you the colors. And this is where I said it may be a little bit weird for you. When I say weird for you, here's how I mean that. If you have children in the room that are already kind of worried about this, do me a favor, ask the kids to kind of step out the room for a minute. Let's have an adult conversation about this, because I'm about to put it in a visual form for you that will help you understand what's really going on at this point. To a child's mind who may not understand to read the different color charts properly, this might upset younger minds. Okay, so I want to just preface you for that. If you've got smaller child to the rooms, help them understand this maybe in a better way. Here's what we're going to be doing. And so you understand this, let me share my screen again. This is, as of 2 hours ago, this is what the pandemic looked like from, I guess, what you would call the hot spots. This is what's called a heat map. When you take data and you put data into a map that allows you to document this down, right? And allows you to see how it radiates out. It allows you to put a visual face, right? A visual face to this epidemic. And I'm going to show you again, and I'm going to go back, and yes, I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you the recoveries again, because that's very, very important. But I want to keep this in the most realistic terms you can imagine, so you can, if you have to sit down in your home and explain how this works, and just explain how it got here, I'm going to give you that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you a piece of time-lapse data. So think of this as your GPS in your car, right? Each person infected as a dot. And as the dots congregate, the dots change color to represent concentration, should we say, right? It's representing the concentration of the pandemic. And I'm going to show you basically up to a few days ago. I can tell you right now it's off a bit, because it takes a while to render animations and to get these various things done. But you're going to watch this spread. Now, we've all talked about it. Remember, well over a week ago, I basically showed you why there was the Italy connection and why it happened. The media is now picking up on it now to explain how that happened. So watch this transition. I'm going to show it to you in a video file. I'll kind of narrate as we go so you understand what you're looking at. And so what you're going to see here, it's not on my screen yet, it's going to be here in a minute. I'm going to show you a time lapse, and I'll control it at different phases, but I'm going to show you, let me stop there for a minute. I'm going to show you a time lapse first from the world standpoint of where the epidemic started, where it spread, how it started jumping. Please pay attention to this color scale here. This is very important. This color scale, white has, and here's what it is: 1 to 9 people infected, and then you're basically looking at a colorimetric chart that basically starts taking you through in color intensities, taking you through the various colors of the pandemic as it spreads and concentrates across the nation. So let me start this here, and you take a final look here as the next 15 seconds or so roll by. But pay attention to the colors. Let's just focus on that really blood red color right there, which is a pretty critical point where you've got 1,000 to 5,000 cases up to these other colors here. And what we're going to do is I'm going to transition the screen, and it's going to show you a time lapse. So we're starting in January. You see it out of China. You see it start jumping. It's jumped to France and USA already. I've sped this up at a hyper speed. We're rolling through the month. But you're seeing the counts roll up. Now, what's important is to watch those colors change. You see China in that burgundy color, and now it's gone black at 100,000. Now watch the leap in the world. Right now, you start seeing it hit the hot spots. You see Italy, you see everything that's happening. Now it starts popping up on the map. So now we're into March, the beginning of March, and you basically start to see it reaches the critical state. This is the evolution in graphics of the pandemic as you saw it. Now that was at a time, we're only about 140,000 global infections right now on this chart. We're over 1 million now. You're up to 220,000, right? So take a look at it: 250,000, 60,000, 280, 290, 300, 310, 320, 340, 350, 390, 400, 420, 435, 460, 480, 490, 500,000, 560. Get it? You watch it. This is how fast this became something out of control. I'm going to stop there for a minute. I want to go back just to that one graphic. I want to give you just time to look at it. Okay, bear with me, folks. Take a look at this. We basically ticked off 90 days, a little less than that. And this stop where the map is right now is still over 100,000 confirmed infections off. But you saw it just leap out of China, and you saw the few places it went. This is what you're talking about. This is how fast this pandemic spread around the world. And I have to tell you, when you look at it this way, it's pretty damn scary, right? It's pretty scary when you watch these numbers, just like start here and start going when you watch the days. So yes, I have a global audience. Canada, you can see I have a lot of fans in Canada. Canada, you can see where you are. I'm going to take you through the next mutation, if you may. I'm going to take you to the next mutation here. I'm going to show you the same mapping, the same effect. I've sped it up so so it blows through the days, so we don't watch for minutes, but so you can watch how it spread in the United States. So just so you truly understand what's going on here, and truly just how serious this is. So let's jump back over to it and let's continue as I show you this pandemic time lapse I've prepared for you. Now let's jump over to the United States. Now, I just want to remind you of this one thing. These aren't just numbers. These are people. You're looking at people's lives ebbing and flowing. And so please remember that. And so as we go in here, I want to show you now the United States. And so this is where we are as the United States. Now, this is the number here. It's a little bit different telemetry because the numbers aren't so big. So this is your color chart to pay attention to now when it comes to the United States, its status. So here we go. Get ready. You're going to watch this take off. And here's the time lapse. Now, this is only about 2 months. The hotspots look really weird, right? There's no New York, there's no Georgia, Atlanta on there. We see California and Washington start to take off first, right? California officially took off first. You can see it's heating up faster compared to Washington. Then all of a sudden, right side of the nation, boom, New York comes in, and New York is going to start taking off faster. Now look, literally in a matter of 6 days, it's coast to coast. Right? From that window, 6 days coast to coast, and all of these are reaching critical numbers. As we come up with the middle of the month here, okay, at the middle of the month, as you start to see this heat map get bright red, and you start to see the cases go into the 5 and 10,000s. We've just crossed the 5,000 barrier. Now we're headed past the 9,000 barrier. And that's where it is. So even now, we're not at the right numbers, okay? Because this stopped on 328 is where this particular counter stopped, only because the data hadn't been done for the graphics. But I want to point a few things out to you. 328, we were standing at 100,514 infected people. Yesterday, right, which is what, only 4 days away. Yesterday, when I gave you the number was at 163,539. Over a 4-day period in the United States, that number jumped 63,000 people. Now, don't be afraid of that, because that's not a horrible thing or a bad thing. I'm going to explain that in a minute. Right, so you understand what I'm doing, but you have to understand how these numbers work. Okay, you have to understand how these numbers work. And you're right, all the people commenting, it's going nuts, right? So Monica put in for me, Canada has 900,613, and I'm going to show you how to look at it. And you're exactly right. This is totally wicked. Lynn put in, my daughter is an ICU nurse at St. Paul, Minnesota, and she's treated a 26-year-old healthy young man who was in the ICU for COVID-19. I was kind of not worried, but now I am a little worried. Queens, New York is the epicenter, and I had my wife and son move back into my house. I did the same thing. My son had to go under a quarantine, and I begged him to come back home. And being a 21-year-old, he didn't want to come hang out with dad. I guess I'm not that cool anymore, but that's kind of the way this goes. But these numbers, yes, these numbers are scary. And what's even more scary, I had a discussion with a doctor friend of mine whose son went on spring break. Still, he wouldn't listen to his dad. He went on spring break, and dad tells him, well, you're not coming back home because grandma and grandpa are at home and they're susceptible, and you're going to have to live in the guest house, which is in fact what they did. But right, they went down anyway. Now he went down to Florida. The kids are checking out, but just yesterday, maybe a group of kids from the University of Texas went down to Cabo San Lucas. They did their spring break, started feeling bad, came back, and damned if 29 of them, and did that travel and connection and everything else are infected. And so that's how fast this is growing. I want to show you that time lapse just in the United States one more time, if that's okay. I want you to see just how fast that was in the United States that we jumped. Here we go again. And this is, and you watch it, okay, 22, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 210. Watch when it hits New York just after the, what, 20th of the month? Boom, California starts going red, 225. Okay, Washington turns critical red, 3-2. New York starts to peak, and then watch New York take off like a rocket and get to that red critical stage. And so, boom, you see the country linked, right? Now, what's really interesting is if you connect the colors, you're looking at the airport system and our highway system where they crisscross. I mean, this is pretty obvious that traveling, we have literally infected ourselves. That's the truth. Traveling has caused us to spread this. So I want to give you a site that you can go to, because now that you know and you have the interest in how did COVID-19 expand on a global scale, well, you saw it. It radiated out of one country, which is truly the epicenter. It is a zoological jump, meaning a virus that jumped from animal to human, truly. And then you watch it spread from the communist nation right just across the water to get to the other Asian countries, a little more friendly, travel to the US, and then boom, it hits our cities of travel. Off it goes, right? And then you saw it hit that first hot spot, which we talked about a few days ago in Italy, specifically northern Italy, because, as you know, they were doing a huge sharing of culture, right? They had 57,000 people, 57,000 people, and it's those 57,000 people came back into an environment and caused an explosion. Now, I'm not going to cover this tonight, but I'm going to share with you some information as to, on the United States sites in these cities, something that we found that might be a sleeper in why this took off the way it did. But first, I want to draw you to this, because this is actually what you need to see. Write this down. It's on my screen. It's just www.bing, Microsoft search engine, bing.com/COVID. Very, very simple. Bing.com/COVID. If you want to follow along with me, you can do it on your computer. But take a look here as I share my screen. I want to show you, this is the live tracker right now. Okay, now what's really important is I want you to understand that when we talked a little over a day ago, there were 720,570 global cases. We have 200,000 more cases in a 24-hour period, 200,000 more cases in a 24-hour period. And yesterday, we were at 162,539 for the US. As you can see, today we are at 213.10 as of this moment. Now, you can look at some of these charts. They have interactive charts here. If I was to expand this up, where you can see on my screen, it basically shows you the confirms and the fatalities. When you look right here, it seems really weird and the number is high. So when you look at some of these states initially, you can get really freaked out about how many people are dying. And that's because there is such a low ratio between the number of people tested and the number of people dying. So I want you to understand the math. I don't want you to freak out. I want you to be educated, but you got to understand the math. When you're not testing a lot of people, but you're only testing the people that come in that are truly symptomatic, you're basically testing the people that got it, and then you have this death rate. And so you have this really wicked looking number that might look like 6% of everybody who's getting it is dying, right? Or you look at some of the Italy, right? Italy, literally, that 20% are dying. You got to go back and look at these numbers, because as this line goes up across the screen, this is what's important. See, as this line goes up across the screen, this is because we are testing more people. And when you test more people, which is part of what we've been working on for the last 2 weeks to get this out to the home level here in the United States, the more people you test, yes, there's going to be more fatalities, and it's going to look like more people are getting it. It's not that more people are getting it, it's more people are getting tested. Therefore, we're discovering people that have it that are technically asymptomatic, meaning they're not actually showing the symptoms, but because they went in and got tested, I want you to now testing they go up. We're now getting these things distant. As more testing goes in, the death number actually comes down to what really is about 0.5%. That's where this number is going to hover out. But 0.5% of 330 million people is still a big number. Somebody give me a shout out on comments. Give me a state, right? And I'll just use your state, the first one that pops up. Give me your state, and I will share with you your particular state of what are the numbers that are going on. Remember, there's a little bit of delay between when you do it and I see it. And let's just jump into your state and look at it. And you're right, there isn't a good enough sample yet to look at it, but the first one I technically got was Pennsylvania. So, and I'm going to take some other ones too, so bear with me, folks. Let's take a look at Pennsylvania. So if you go to this map, remember, bing.com/COVID, bing.com/COVID. This is probably the fastest updater at the moment. And when I say fast, it's being updated about every 2 hours and 45 minutes. CDC, the other one I showed you, that one with all the countries, there's a little bit of variance in between the two, but let's take a look. Okay, so now we've got the United States, right? So the United States here, yesterday I told you was 163,539. As of we've been talking right now, it was 213.10. We've gone up just sitting here talking, right? So in the United States of America, 213,010, we have 199,456 active cases. Known recovered cases, they're only showing 8,805. And that's because it's just now really getting to our maximum level. Far more people than that global. We'll go back to the global one real quick here. And if you look at the global numbers, 686,651, but there's over 193,000 known recoveries. Okay, the recovery rate is like 4 to 1, and we're still not testing anywhere near the people we should test, and the number is still flawed. It's much better than that. So let's take a look. We said Pennsylvania, I think, is the one I said I will do, and I'm going to go back to some other ones. So let's scroll down to Pennsylvania. Let's take a look at this cases. So here in this map, as you see it, we're looking at Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has 5,805 active cases at the moment, or 5,805. It's claimed 54 fatalities, which basically means active 5,731. Now, if you notice, there's nothing in here for Pennsylvania for the recovered cases. We don't have the data yet. There's not enough data. But let's take a look. If you look down here, right? Okay, let's go to Allegheny, which is I forget what is Pennsylvania townships, I think is what it's called, versus counties over there. But you can look at total cases so you can look at this by county, right? There's the total for the state. There's Allegheny, 356 cases, 354 active, 2 have been fatal. You're looking at Armstrong County. Now look, Allegheny's there. Armstrong pops up just across the corner, right? Separated by a river, boom, boom. But in Armstrong, they've only got 5 cases. They're active, no fatalities. Okay, Beaver, you got 54 cases, 52 active, 2 fatal. So I would recommend that all of you follow this tracker. Let's look at some of the other ones. I'm going to try, let me go back. Let's look at Nevada. Okay, so let's hop over. Let's take a look at Nevada. So we'll scroll down to Nevada, see what Nevada is dealing with at the moment. There's the state. As you look at it right there, 1,279 cases, 1,253 of them active, 26 fatal cases. Here's what's interesting, though. See, you're looking at a state that had a relatively small number, but had what looked like to their number a higher fatality rate. But let's put it in perspective. Nevada is typically a retiree state as well. It has a very much older population. Also, if you look at some of the people that are dying and you see the announcements, you're seeing a lot of people that are in the entertainment business, old rockers, old movie stars, daytime stars, right? Comedians, people that traveled all the time and hit the booze, hit the party, and have fun. The morbidity, the death event from it's higher. They are finding there is a direct correlation between not only existing compromises in the system, in your health system, in your immunity system, but there's a direct correlation between if you're a serious alcohol consumer, and you're chugging the booze pretty seriously, you're compromising yourself. Your body can't respond to it. Let's go to Illinois. Another requester. So we'll go back to the United States. We'll go down to Illinois, and let's take a look at what we have now. Illinois jumped off the charts, right? Look at this growth right there. Just boom. Okay. Now it's because tests started getting in. 6,980 confirmed cases, 6,837 active cases, 2 recoveries. There's going to be plenty more. 141 fatalities. Depending upon, do I have a county in that? That was Joe, or if you're in Illinois, is it Fulton? Somebody give me I guess Fulton County, that's Atlanta. I'll get to that in a moment. But it's whatever. Somebody asked then, why is Keith Richards going to be the only one left? Remember, I told you if you drink a lot. Keith Richards is a little further down the curve. I think that proves if you're pre-pickled and mummified, it doesn't affect any living. It doesn't affect you living because all your cells are dead already, and people just don't understand why you're still walking around. So Keith Richards may be immune, right? So I want you just to remember this: Bing.com COVID. This is where you can get some of the best information. Okay, this is where you can get some of the best information, and I encourage you to go there, get good data. States only report what they want to report. Okay, states only report what they want to report. News only reports what they want to report, especially news. News may scare the shit out of you with a toddler, unfortunately, or a baby under a year old died. That's what makes news. But just because it makes news doesn't make it a reality. Here's how I mean that. That doesn't mean that a baby under 1 year old did not in fact die from COVID-19. It did. It means that's not the reality for everything. News's job is to keep your ass glued to your seat watching them. That is done by bringing you the shittiest statistics in the world with the most horrible deadline. There will be some fantastic story about, maybe a amputee transgender is going to come. It's going to happen. And that's going to make the storyline one day. And then there's going to be a story about an immigrant who got it and was fleeing the other side of the world and was safe here. And then America brought it to him. You're just going to hear the worst of the worst of the worst when it comes to news. That's why I want to give you these sources. But pay attention to the recoveries. It's not about the infections. It's about the morbidity rate of those infections. We now know beyond a shadow of a doubt, and let me tell you, I touch my hands and my eyes and pick my nose, and I have like I've got to like chain my hands down. I found I am a face touching fanatic, right? And I've never been so aware of it as I am now. And literally locking myself in my own office and stuff and not really going out. I'm still washing my hands and sanitizing my hands 20 times a day, right? I feel like if I just walk around the house, I've picked up the cooties or whatever. And when I say I'm going to take a trip, that means downstairs to the refrigerator, right? Or I'm going to take a long distance trip, that means down the stairs out the back door to the deck to get some sunshine, right? Those are my trips and travels right now at the moment. But you're right, it's still incredibly scary. But understand, there are two absolute facts. 3 facts right now you need to know. Number 1, in the numbers of death, it's going to become incredibly scary. Shit is going to hit the fan. It's going to go through the roof. It is not because it just happened. It's because that's the cycle and trend we're on. You saw how long it took to get to the United States and how long it passed through our great nation. It's just the part of the curve we're on. It is going to be horrible. It's horrible. I think I was looking at some story today of a fellow, I don't remember exactly what it does, but lost both of his parents within 6 hours of each other. And said they were perfectly fine. There's always underlying conditions. We're a nation, we're obese, we drink, we party too much, we have diabetes, we have chronic heart issues, we've smoked our stuff to death, right, etc. Those seem to be the first infected, right? Or first that can really make this stuff go serious. There was always people out there. There were always steps we could take, and there are steps you can take. Don't go out. Don't really go out. Stay with it and play by the rules. There are no breaking the rules here, right? And the people you screw could even be your own family or friends, and it'd be totally inadvertent, but you did it. Don't do it, right? Don't do it. Stay in place. Honor what it is. Honor the nation. Honor your friends. Honor your family. Now, remember, don't be afraid by the term coronavirus. Like it's just some brand new, wonderful, horrible, cretin monster infection. COVID-19, boom, here it is. Coronaviruses we've known about since the 1960s. In fact, part of your influenza A and B that we deal with every year are various forms of coronavirus. We're just dealing with an interesting mutation that mutated in animals to humans back, right? Mutated itself and became that. I'm going to talk about the zoomorphical or zoological stuff on another broadcast. But let me just remind you what you need to do, and then I'm going to share you something parting with that you need to see. But the numbers are going to go up. The news stories are going to look as if we're at war, a massive war to the likes of Vietnam. I can remember during the Vietnam era that at the night with the evening news running and Howard K. Smith and Henry Kissinger and all these various people on, that you'd see the list of our boys that died over there scrolling on your screen, and that was absolutely horrible. And of course 9/11 was horrible with 4,000 folks, but this is going to be big. It's going to affect everybody in some way. There will be somebody statistically in your circle, because if we do hit a 200,000 fatality number in a nation that has 40 million people severely or chronically sick or with debilitating diseases, there's going to be a large number. It's going to happen. But your life won't be untouched by it. It will be touched by it. But don't freak out. And the reason don't freak out is because just like this planet flexing its breath, and it can be colder or it can be warmer or it can be drier or it can be wetter, this is the way things go. And our country was very lucky that we shut down that China door right away, or we'd be even in a worse state. Our country was very lucky that we shut down this quarantine stuff that everybody bitched about. We're in a great position. We are in a good position. Technology here is helping you here. So let me share with you just a few final things as I go here that I would just like you to please remember. Here's the rules. It's really very simple. It's not that hard, right? It's not that hard at all. Stay at home, savings life. That's it. Stay at home as much as you can. Keep a safe distance. Wash hands often, cover your cough, and if you're sick, call ahead. Number 6 is watch as many of my broadcasts as you can. Anyway, it's pretty simple rules, folks. But some of the best advice at the moment circulating around is what I want to leave you with. And as good and as novel and as hilarious as this is, it's really a true message that I'd like to leave you with here. Let me share my screen, and I want to play you a video about doing what's right. And if you haven't heard this or haven't seen it, you may like it. Here we go.
Stay at home. The Rona is spreading. It's no joke. It's no time to work or roam. The way you can fight it is simple, my friends. Just stay at home. Now, technically, I'm not a doctor, but listen when I read a poem. So here I am, Sam Jackson, imploring you, keep your ass at home. If you want things to get back to normal, don't panic. Just use your dome. Wash your hands, stop touching your face, and stay at home. It's no time to gamble. Look around, you're not at a casino. Just stay home as if your name was Trenton Quarantine. Sure, you can still see your friends. Use the app on your phone. But unless you just ran out of groceries, please stay at home. Thank you for doing your part to flatten the curve, because that is steep. And now that you're home, please feel free to go to sleep.
That's one of the funniest things I think I've seen people do or put out. Great advice. Google it. Samuel Jackson basically saying stay back at home. But anyway, folks, I'm going to keep on bringing this to you. There's 2 other broadcasts I'll do over the next few days and the weekend. One, I'm going to explain to you why certain people are susceptible faster. I think you need to understand what it was, because those are the people in your life or your life that you need to take extra precautions for. So we now have enough data to absolutely understand what those markers are that can put you at higher risk. Shouldn't freak you out. It's to help you out. And if you understand those, you can deal with it. Last but not least, I'm going to explain in another broadcast, I'm going to explain this jump from animal to human. And you might be very interested to find out that possibly this coronavirus was already here among us. Anyway, go check out this interactive map at Bean. Thank you for joining me. I haven't been able to get back to my normal large Facebook group book yet, but you can find me at Stream, right? You can go at Spreaker. You can find my streams at Spreaker.com/show/Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. Check me out on Periscope. I've gone back to my Periscope broadcast as well. You can find me on Periscope if you can't join in the audio of this, and I'll do a bunch of these when it's very visual. I'll bring it to you. But folks, stay the fuck at home. That's simple. Stay at home. We're going to be here for another 30 days, might extend a little bit, but because you're at home, you're safe. And because you're at home, you're doing your duty. And because you're at home, you will save other people that will end up being very, very important people in your life. You can make a difference in other people's life. Do me a favor. Stay at home. Take care. I love you all. Stay healthy. Stay healthy, right? Wash your hands. Don't go out. I've been juicing citrus religiously, mega seed, drink it in the morning. Find your rituals, find your stuff, find your inner peace, and find the things that you can begin to see the bright side, because you know what? Many more people by far have recovered from this than have met their demise at this. Love you a lot. Take care, folks. Take care. Have a nice evening. We'll talk again very soon. Bye-bye.